being a mom and being an artist were like two things that could not live without the other. Acknowledge that a child is disruption. I really mourned the loss of self. So had Malachi, went home 2 hours later with this child. So maternity leave was not even on the cards. So when I could work, it almost felt like it was my freedom.
Ideas spark while the bottles warm, emails ping in a quiet storm, late nights, no time to cry, building this life, watch me fly.
Welcome to Baby Bump and Business, the podcast for creative moms growing a baby and a brand at the same time. I'm your host, Anj Olson, photographer, educator, and first-time mom, sharing the real unfiltered journey of pregnancy, entrepreneurship, and everything in between. Each week, I'll be joined by a fellow creative mom to talk about the beauty, the burnout, and the balance of it all. So let's get into it. Today's guest is Anj Olson, a master photographer, photographic craftsman, certified professional photographer, director on the board of Professional Photographers of America, educator, and award-winning portrait artist at Anj Portrait Studio. She's a mother to 3 boys, a wife, and lifelong learner living in Ankeny, Iowa. Anj, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today.
Woo woo! It's so good to be here. Thank you.
I'm so excited to have this conversation with you. I know we were able to do brunch a couple of weeks ago, and I'm like, oh my gosh, tell me more about motherhood, because it's something. It's really something.
Girl, it's a trip. It is a trip.
So,
and I love it. I love the trip.
We have you. It's you love the good, the bad, and the ugly. That's a part of it, right?
Yes. Yep.
So
every bit.
So going into your bio, you have a lot of accolades under photography, which is so amazing and so admirable. Listen, get your flowers, honey. But being all of that,
where are they? Who's bringing them to me?
Being that you have all of those titles underneath you, and you are a mother and a wife, girl, how are you doing it?
Oh my gosh! You know what? I think people do what they want to do, and for me, being a mom and being an artist were like two things that could not live without the other. I knew I wanted both. I also knew that balance was not a thing in my life. And I don't know about you and motherhood, but I found myself craving control in both aspects because of the lack of control. Does that even make sense?
Yes, it does.
It was a very I had more babies, and then as I had them, I wanted to be a better artist. And those two things kind of they grew together. And I still, you look back at it and you're like, how did I get here? Who even knows? It's a blur. It feels like things just kind of unfolded, and just knowing that I wanted those two things kind of fueled my desire to continue to work towards them.
So talking about that, so I know for me, when I was thinking about motherhood, that was the stressor for me, knowing that I'm full into my business. I love what I'm doing. I love traveling. I love doing all those things. And knowing that I'm going to have to somewhat slow down in the mix of that, that was a hard pill for me to swallow. How did you deal with that?
Oh my gosh. That is such a great question. So one, I think it's okay to acknowledge that a child is disruption. I mean, beautiful disruption. And it doesn't mean that you're not so happy they're there and so thankful. That's another thing with motherhood in general. I'm like, it's okay to mourn something and celebrate it at the same time. Because I really mourned the loss of self. That was a big one for me. I think it was just realizing all the limitations that a child brings in. You lose time, you lose energy. I felt that I lost a little bit of creativity because I just did not have the brain space to both be a mom and be fully in that realm either, One of the things that was really helpful for me was just patience, and having a partner who, he never minimized my feelings. He never made me feel that feeling of no, you chose this. So this is, it was more, we got this. Yes, this is a hard season, but you are going to be you, and we will find a way to bring that side of you back. And so having someone constantly speak into that gave me a little bit of solace in the fact that no, this isn't leaving. This is simply a moment of time where I have to just press pause.
Mm.
And then I'm coming back and it's going to be better than ever. Phoenix.
Love that. Love that. So when you had your first, where were you in your business?
Very early. Very early. We had just moved to Kansas City and I currently live in Iowa. We had moved to Kansas City just to exit, be in a bigger city, try something new. We were newly married. And it was very fresh in the business. I knew that I was starting over to begin with, so I let the business kind of go. And I was photographing outside just in my home in a tiny sunroom that doubled as a kid's playroom. So we would clear out the entire living room and the entire sunroom just to be able to photograph a client. And I remember thinking, you are charging so much money to invite someone into your home that is like, it's a family home. But it's all I knew and it's all I could do. And there's a little bit of imposter syndrome that comes in there real quick because you are thinking, I'm a mom and I'm in this home. And am I a businesswoman? Am I an entrepreneur? Or what is happening? Because there's so many little holes being poked in that story of who you imagined you would be and who you are.
Mhm. That is beautiful. That is beautiful. So, okay, whew, I want to dive a little bit more into that. So, I
Please.
know we spoke. There's some other photographers who I spoke with about shooting in their home and how a lot of them had dealt with clients who felt like, "Oh, I'm shooting in your home with your child. Like, how dare you?" Or they didn't understand that season that that person was in as an artist. Did you ever feel that?
Yeah. A little bit, but I was also very transparent
Mm.
with my clients. I think because I needed to be proud of who I was and I needed to say the words in order to believe the words.
Mm.
So in my when interacting with my clients, I had to be very upfront with like, I am an artist. This is who I am. Also, I'm a new mom and we just moved here and this is what's happening. I can promise you that you will adore your portraits, that what you are going to get is 100% me as an artist. But this is who I am and this is what you're coming into. And did I always believe it? Maybe not, because mood swings, new mom, like you're all over the place. But saying the words was just another layer of this is who you are. Embrace it. Be okay with it. This is who you are.
Beautiful. So when you were planning to have your first, when you found out you were pregnant and you just started, because you're new in Kansas City, did you think about maternity leave? And if you did, did that look like?
100% no. I did not. So we were in a really fun situation. When we moved to Kansas City, my husband was working, he is also an entrepreneur at the time, and he had a blinds company with his friend in Iowa. And so he was traveling back and forth. I was told that I could not get pregnant um, at like the age of 19, that it would be very difficult, all of these things. So when we started trying, we just assumed it would take like months, years. That was incorrect. It was literally 1 month. And so we were like, oh, this was not the plan. We were supposed to be pregnant in like 2 years, not now. And so we ended up, I mean, we didn't have insurance. I was self-employed. He was self-employed. We ended up having the baby, having Malachi at at a birth center because we could not even afford an epidural. I was scared I would say yes to an epidural and we would be charged like $14,000. So I said, nope, we're going to a birth center. There was a snowstorm the night of his birth. And so we were there, had him. 2 hours later, they're like, I'm so sorry, you have to go home because we have so many women here because it was a snowstorm. So they came early. And so had Malachi, went home 2 hours later with this child. So maternity leave was not even on the cards. This was, and he was like a 26-hour labor. There was a car crash right outside the window, like hit the tree. Like this whole, it was surreal.
That sounds like a movie.
I can't even. Yes, it does. So maternity leave was like, nope, we're just gonna, as soon as I'm good, we're getting back to it. So, yeah, we moved quick. I was back in business, I think, pretty quick.
Okay, hold on. I'm still stuck on the you had to go home 2 hours after. I'm still stuck there because
2 hours. Can you believe it?
I wouldn't lose
Even
my
know
mind.
what we were thinking.
I would lose my
Yeah.
mind. Like, even knowing what I went through, if I had to go to home 2 hours, I would have really lost my mind. Oh my gosh.
Yes. I mean, we didn't lose our mind. I don't know why, but I do think that we brought this baby home, set him on the living room floor, and Marty and I sat on the couch and just stared at him like, what do we do now? Like, what this is, he's asleep. What's next? Like, I don't even know. We were so just, what have we done?
Like, this is it.
And yeah, here we go. We're parents. This is great.
Oh,
I don't know. Saying it out loud, I've not told that story in so long, but saying it out loud, I'm like, wow, we were crazy. I mean, that child is, I think he's the most sane person in this household. So I think he's probably like living the space of, I got this. You two clearly did not have it when I was born, so I'm overcompensating. Oh,
oh man.
man.
So after having him going, I'm still. That's gonna be. I'm gonna be thinking about that for the rest of the day. Like 2 hours, she went home after 2 hours of
Ridiculous.
having him with no epidural.
No, I don't even know what
You know, you need more.
hours of
You need more flowers. But I'm just gonna throw them right now because 26 hours, no epidural, home 2 hours after.
Oh,
Women are superheroes. I just.
women are superheroes. I will never not believe that. Every single woman, I'm like, we go through a lot.
You know,
So much.
and if God decides to do this again, let men have kids. But anyways, back onto the conversation. So,
100%.
so at what point did you decide to go back to work after having him?
I think I had sessions scheduled probably a month after. It was very quick. And it was other newborns. And I mean, the business was so different than what I do now. And a lot of the reasons my business has shifted so much is because motherhood really, really changed my values and my priorities. I think in the beginning, because we all start at the same place, um, my goals were just really money oriented. I wanted to be able to sustain myself. And I really felt like a lot of coaches and a lot of education it was so focused, and some of it still is now, but it was so focused on $1 million business. How do you get to that point, this and that? And that felt like now, if I should say, that feels like such an arbitrary number to me, because now my questions are, why do I need $1 million? What am I working towards? What is my sustainable things that I want out of this business? Are time with my family, the enough money to be able to go on family trips and to create these beautiful memories with these boys, that they get to do the things they want to do in life, sports and art and music, all those things, that I'm able to help them experience those things. Um, and so I think now I would make such different decisions, but I didn't have the luxury of different decisions at that point. And so at that stage, it was simply, we need money. And we have house payments, and we have a hospital bill, a birth center bill, and we have to feed this family. Um, and I think I was working at Anthropology at the time. I love that store so much. And I wanted to have nice clothes, and I knew that I would get 60% off if I worked there. I don't think I made $1. I'm pretty sure every paycheck I was like, let me just trade this in. These are the 5 items I want. It was such a, man, we were living like, I don't know what life we were living, but we thought we had it all under control. And looking back, I'm like, what a pair of vagabonds. I don't know what we were doing, but it's fine. Everyone's still alive.
That's all that matters. I feel like as long as
Yep.
babies are breathing, that's okay.
Yep.
So
We did it.
after having your first and going back into work, what was that like mentally for you, going back so quickly? Because a month It's not, I mean, I went back a month, but that's beside the point. But what was that like mentally for you? Was that like a hard mental adjustment? Did you go through any postpartum with your first?
I really didn't go through too much postpartum. The one thing that really got me that I remember so clearly is feeling like I didn't own myself anymore.
Mm,
Everything was scheduled, but then had to be changed if he couldn't do it because I was the one feeding him. I was his person. And I remember the first time Marty went out for a beer and I didn't realize it would hit me so hard. But I thought that man can go out for a beer and not come back for 4 hours and nothing's gonna change, you know? And so I think that was so when I could work, it almost felt like it was my freedom. Like, no, I'm making money. I gotta go. You're gonna have to figure this out. You know, like that was I there was a side of me that thought you should be more sad about this, but instead it was something that was all mine. Something that I was making money. I was not in the home. I was getting dressed. I had a bra on. Like it was like little things I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm a human." And because it was photography, it was like 2 hours at a time, you know? It wasn't like I was gone for a whole day. So it felt like I could both go do it and then also come home and be a mom.
mm.
So for me, I think versus not a lot of postpartum, not a lot of sadness, much more of a woohoo, see ya. Like, I'm out of here.
I remember my studio manager came to the house and we were carpooling to go to a job. And I ran out the house so fast and she was like, "You look so happy to leave the baby." And I'm like, "I love my child, but I can't wait to feel sane again." And leaving the house and doing
Yes.
photography, I was able to feel sane again. Like
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. I can relate to that so much. And not being, I'm a pretty I think before babies, I was very extroverted, and I would say that that's changed a little bit because of just feeling like there's someone on me at all times. And so that's something that's shifted my entire business model because I went from like, I can do everything. I can do weddings. I can do this. I can do that to like now I'm like, I will do 4 sessions a month and they better be high dollar because I can only handle people time so much because the rest of my life is filled with little people. Like, there's not a minute where I am just solitary and nobody's on me.
Ooh.
So it's interesting how motherhood can just like totally shift your idea of, I mean, your entire business model just because you're like, I can't do that anymore. It's done.
So even talking about that on the business end, what were the things that you had to start doing and even like setting boundaries or limiting how much you're working once you started having your kids and knowing that, okay, I don't want to be away that much. What was that for you? Like, what was that like for you?
Yeah. First of all, it was increasing all my prices so much. Because every child I had, I increased my pricing 15% because in my mind, you were taking me away from 3 kids versus one. And so if you are going to take me away from them, I like that time means something to me. And so that was the first thing that happened. My pricing increased. The other thing that happened was really strict boundaries on how many sessions I do a month and how much time each of those sessions take. So it was streamlining exactly what I'm doing during that session. It also gave me a huge amount of empathy for moms and for children during sessions. So everything in the session became geared towards what are all the pain points for a mom during a session? And as much as I care about dad, in my mind, dads have way less pain points. I'm so sorry, dads. But it was just one of those where it's like, I felt like moms are always they're in charge of getting the kids ready and behavior, and they're also the emotional center point. My oldest calls me the compass of the house. So he's like, if you're in a bad mood, everybody is. So, and that is both wonderful and pressure, you know, because you're like, oh shoot, I'm transferring this to my people. I need to be on. I need to make sure I'm taking care of myself. But it really changes the way you interact with your clients and how you hear what they're saying and the empathy and warmth that exists between me and my client. But all of those things kind of took a whole it was where I had to analyze my business from a standpoint of one, how much time do I want to be spending knowing I want to be home with the kids after school. I want to be out of the studio by 2:45. I'm not going to work weekends anymore because we've got soccer, we've got flute, we've got all of these things. And I never want my to feel like I'm choosing work over them.
Mm.
Um, how do I have a fulfilling workday and productive workday? So I had to really focus on cutting out social media, setting timers, um, going against everything that I am during a day because I mean, if I just saw a bird and I was like, oh, like I'm not focused. And so it was creating habits that would allow me to be productive and give me the life that I needed outside of the studio.
Mm. Ooh, that's a lot. But it's one of those things where you don't realize all the things you have to do to not just feel like yourself again, but to make sure that you're creating the life that you want for you and for your family. And I think a lot of times women don't get the credit or the recognition for how much they actually have to change in this process, especially when you run your own business, where you're the one that has to now set the boundaries, set the rules, set the pricing, set all the adjustments to make sure that you're still able to show up at home as a wife and the mother that you have to show up as. And that's hard and that's tough.
Absolutely. It is really tough. Oh, you put that so well. It really is. That is so hard. And I think you only become aware of it when you become a mother and realize how much more mental gymnastics have to be played in order to reach an end goal.
Mhm.
And I remember just going through so much. Again, Marty is an amazing partner, so it was great to like talk through some of this, but there's also a level of resentment that happened, and not simply towards him but also towards motherhood a little bit, where I was like, this is not fair. Like, you get to we had a baby, you get to do your job. You get to, take paternity leave, whatever, and you don't have to figure it out. I have to figure it out. Like, I have to figure out how my business is going to wrap itself around school and daycare. And I remember at one point, Marty was like, if you want more time for your business, we can put the kids in full time daycare. And at that point, I think the youngest, Caspian, was not in full time daycare yet. And I was irritated that I had to make that decision because then it felt like I had so much, I truly did feel so much guilt on like, do I need this? Like, I didn't want to put him in daycare full time at all. And I also wanted to do my job. And I was also mad at Marty for making me make that decision, even though he was providing a solution. But it's a weird, I don't know, it's that dichotomy of both being so happy and it's also bittersweet.
Mhm.
And there's never the right solution, it feels like. It's always just, something is being sacrificed all the time in motherhood. And that was a hard one to just swallow.
So talking about the daycare. So I know a lot of times, even for me trying to consider, okay, having this work-life balance, should I put my daughter in daycare? Finding the right daycare in the city that you live
Oh
in.
my gosh.
And then now you have to figure out how to afford the daycare in the city that you live in. What was that process
Yes.
like for you all in terms of thinking about daycare, or what's child support did you guys have when you first started your business and even now?
Yeah, we tried a little bit of everything. We moved back to Iowa after we had our second child because my parents and Marty's parents both live in Iowa, about 20 minutes away on either side. But we also, when we chose to have children, we had a pretty long discussion on how we didn't want our parents to be primary childcare because they've already raised children. And it was a boundary we needed for them. So we moved back to Iowa and first we decided to try a nanny. And she was fantastic, but also it was very odd to me to have someone in my house. Um, and I felt like I had a hard time releasing control. As in, I would hear something in my brain, I'd be like, well, that's not how I would do it, which is not okay. I mean, if you're having someone to take care of your child, you need to let them take care of your child. Um, but when we moved back, we actually, after trying the nanny, we decided Marty was going to look for a new job. He wanted to get into coding. And so he stayed home with the kids for 6 months and said, "This 6 months is for your business. You're going to figure it out." We had made some money after selling the house in Kansas City. And he was like, "We're putting that money into your business. We're going to set you up." And so that was the first time the business really became kind of what it is today. And childcare wise, once he got a job, that's when we decided to find, we thought a Montessori school would be the best for the kids versus an in home or a parent or something like that. And I think part of that was we wanted them to have a routine and structure and know that there was a drop off time and a pickup time. And honestly, we also could not afford some of the daycares. Some of the nicer ones that we really wanted were way outside of our price range. And then some of the in-home ones, I'm sure they were wonderful. We just didn't know enough. We didn't feel comfortable with just dropping our kids off at someone's home. We didn't really, I think, want to do the research as much. Um, and also, I'm a people pleaser. It's something I'm always working on. So I was nervous that I would like meet someone and not necessarily love them, but be like, "Yeah, here, take my child. You're so great." And then go home and just be like, "Oh, I don't know what I just did." So it was, yeah, we started with a Montessori school. And then we did find an in-home that was a recommendation because all of our children were at different kind of stages. Our oldest could go to Montessori. At that time, he was 4. And then we had a 2-year-old that couldn't quite go yet. Um, and we hadn't had our third yet at that point. So we were kind of bouncing all over the place with these kids. But you're correct. It is really difficult. I mean, you're trusting your child. You're trusting other people with your child. And I know you're not saying raise my child, but when someone is spending 7 hours with, that's a lot of influence, you know?
Yes. And I
So it's a hard one.
and I think that's the thing too where when you become a mom, you prior to becoming a mom, you have all these expectations of how you're going to be, right? Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna put them in school, I'm gonna do all those things because X, Y, and Z. And
Oh,
then
yeah.
when you get there, it's like, I don't trust nobody with my child. And it's like, I have to trust you for how long? Like, and at first, if you ask anyone, I'm like, oh yeah, she's going to daycare. Mom is still gonna go to work. And it's like everywhere I went, I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
do I really like you? Like 100%? And then how much are you costing?
I like you.
And it's like,
Yes.
I'm like, this is a mortgage.
And then yeah. And then you're like, well, if you're going to spend on anything, it should be someone taking care of your child. But it's still, I think that's just, it's ingrained in us to know that we're the best people to take care of our child. And also, I think at this point, I'm like, it's important to trust other people to take care of your child because we should be in a village community. We should be able to let our child exist with other people and grow up with other, parental figures and this and that. But I did not anticipate how hard that would be.
Yes,
It's weird.
it is. Even now, luckily, I have family support, and that's what we've been doing. If I have a job, she's going to some family member. But it's like, okay,
Yes.
she can't do that forever. So it's like, okay, oh, we're gonna have to bite the
I
bullet.
mean, she could. Yes, family is huge because both sets of parents helped us so much. And my mom still does. It's so nice to have someone just able to call on a dime.
Mm. Do I look blurry?
Yes.
Okay, I'm like, camera, what are you doing?
Oh, I don't know what it's trying to focus on. Oh, the light behind you.
Like, what is happening? Okay, there we go.
Oh, you are.
There we go. Technology
Okay,
is
you're
just
back.
not on our side today, but it's okay. So,
It really never is on my side.
you know, so you have 2 kids. What made you decide to
Mhm.
have a third? And where were you? So you had moved back to Iowa by this point, right?
Yep.
And then so what was the
Yeah,
process
we moved
of
back to Iowa.
we're gonna do this one more time.
You know what? I always wanted a house of boys. I grew up my favorite series was Little Women. And the second and third book in that series, the second one is called Little Men, and the third one is called Joe's Boys. And the character Josephine in that book was my spirit animal. She's a tomboy. She loves plays. Like, I just adored her character. She ended up opening a school or like a boarding place for boys. Some of them didn't have moms, some of them had parents, but it was like a school. Anyway, that's too much detail, but I love that book. So everyone read it. And so growing up, I always told my mom I only wanted boys. And I ended up with only boys, so that worked out. But so my goal, I truly wanted a house of boys. And at the time, I thought I wanted like 4 or 5. And turns out three's the limit. But that was our impetus for a third child. And there was a side of me that also at that point was like, ooh, I would love to have a girl. Um, and I don't think it was a conversation for sure. Like, should we do this? Should we not? But I think I was so adamant that we were definitely having 3 that it was almost probably more of a when are we having this third child versus are we having a third child?
Gotcha, gotcha.
And the other two, I mean, life was hard for sure. Like, we were stretched and but it was very fulfilling. Like, it felt right. And so there was not really much of a should we or shouldn't we? And now looking back, I'm like, man, I don't know. I'm so thankful for Caspian. Like, he is a dream child. Our entire family, I'm so thankful for. And also there are times where people, this is gonna sound terrible, but where people ask, should I have a third child? And I'm like, yes, if you want a third child, but also like children, to love them properly, to care for them properly, to be the parent you want to be. In my opinion, like, parenting should be intentional.
Mm.
It should be, it takes heart, it takes time. It sometimes means that you're doing things when you don't want to because it's for the best for your child, or you're making decisions that go against a lot of what you want to do. I mean, I had to get up at 6 this morning for school and I was like, this is the worst. I Everyone get ready for school on your own. And conversations like your children need to be able to talk to you and to share with you, and you need to have the presence of mind to pass on what you can. And so I think having a third child meant that my margin shrunk
Mm.
for what the attention that I could give to every child. And some people can handle more. So in no way do I mean this, like, in no way am I saying how many children people should have. I think I'm just so much more aware of what it means to mother,
Mm.
because it's a big task, and I don't even know how you describe it, but it's bigger than I ever imagined.
So how have you been able
Um,
to find that balance of being able to continue to stretch yourself now with 3 children and still being able to manage your business?
yeah, boundaries have been huge. I think it's really important for the boys to know who I am as an artist, and that is important to me, and who I am as a photographer, as a businesswoman. I want them to be a part of this business and to be proud of who their mother is. I
Mhm.
think that's um I don't think that you should necessarily give up everything that you are for your children. I think it's equally important for them to witness you living life
Mm.
the way that you are meant to live it. So that was a huge reason we built the studio on the back end of the house, because I wanted them to be able to come in. I wanted them to be able to meet my clients. I had a family come in last night and found out that their son was in my middle son's class. And so Ephraim got to come in and take Lucas into the house, and we got to talk about portraits and what we were planning for their home. But that's what I always wanted. I wanted my boys to be able to come in my studio and to feel the same magic that I feel in here. So I think I don't even know what the question was, and I don't know how I ended up there. But here we are.
But I love this. I think that's so beautiful where knowing that you can create a business that your kids can look up to and admire, like, look what mommy did or look what mommy's doing, and I'm still a part of it somehow. Even if I don't have to work in the
Yeah.
business, I'm still able to see what mommy's been able to create and do and still do as she's still balancing being a mother as well.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I love it. I hope they enjoy this aspect of me outside of motherhood.
Now, one last well, two more questions. How do you balance traveling for work, especially with you now being on the board? How do you balance being able to
Yeah.
still travel and do different speaking events and things like that while still showing up as a full-time mom?
Oh my gosh, so much help. So much help. Um, One, everything's scheduled out really well. So I make sure I have a business coach, and one of the things that she told me was if you are out of town, you don't schedule a session for 4 days, 3 to 4 days after you come back.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Because you need yeah, because you need space for you to re-enter your business. You need space for you to re-enter your home. And, there's laundry, there's appointments, there's all of these things that are floating on in your head. And so that's something that I implemented pretty quick. So my calendar is completely open for 4 days after I travel anywhere. Um, the other thing was hiring a virtual assistant, and she manages my email, she manages, most of my client interactions and all that so that when I'm away on business, I'm not worried about that at all, and that leaves me a lot freer to come home ready for the boys and not feeling like there's a fire to put out immediately. I don't have to go check my email. Um, and the other thing is implementing in between those work trips, implementing really, really intentional family time. Scheduling time with the boys, making sure that I'm checking in with them and we're doing the things that they want to do so that when I go on a trip, they don't feel like I wasn't present when I was home and then I'm leaving again. Um, and Marty, I love that Marty does not travel as much as I do. And I actually think that's great because I would say that I'm the default parent in this household. It is like they see him and they walk right past and they're like, "Mom, can I have this? Mom, can I do this?" And our youngest is he is a delightful child. I would call him a little bit of a curmudgeon, um, a little bit mischievous, a little bit feral, you could say. Not quite sure what happened to that child. Um, but he has been a mama's boy since the day he was born. And so I realized also the value of it's kind of nice when I'm gone because Marty gets them and he is their person. So he gets loved in a way that he probably doesn't feel when I'm around. And that gave me a different purpose for me being gone. I now leave on a board trip and I'm like, this might be a little difficult, but it's kind of a gift to Marty also. He gets to be the default parent for 3 days and to really feel what that's like and to get the snuggles at bedtime and all the things that I get most of the time. And so it's kind of shifted from, "Oh my gosh, I'm leaving again," to like, "Everyone have fun. I will be back soon."
That's beautiful. So for any mom who's in the creative field, who's going about to go into this journey of motherhood or who or may be in the journey already, what's one piece of advice that you would want to leave with them?
Oh, that is a hard question. Honestly, I think this is a hard one to do, but I think it's, try to remember that you will be back, that it's going to feel so hard and it's going to feel as though you have lost something and maybe I shouldn't say that. Some people may not feel this, but my biggest thing was truly feeling a loss of me. Um and I wish someone had told me it's okay. It's okay that you feel that. It's okay that baby snuggles are not everything you want right now. It's okay if you don't think your child is the cutest thing in the world because you will. I promise you, they're going to smile at you and your heart will melt. It's okay that you feel like you have lost your own body and you're kind of like, you're just suspended in this weird state of this weird season. Um, but that you will not you will start to see yourself. You'll start to see signs. You'll start to gain back that control, and there's no need to rush it.
Mm.
But also feel the things you're feeling. I just I don't know. I felt like people had so much advice that was that made me feel guilty instead of better. And I just want moms to feel what they're feeling and embrace it and love it and hate it and all the things. Like go cry in a closet. It's okay.
I
You're
love
allowed.
that. I love that. Anj, thank you so much for sharing so many gems. And I truly enjoyed hearing so much of your story. I was able to learn a lot from it. I know our viewers are as well. So Anj, thank you again so much for your transparency, for your time, and for your wisdom.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. This was lovely.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of Baby Bump and Business. I hope today's conversation reminded you that you're not alone on this journey and that there's so much power in building something beautiful while becoming someone new. If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to rate, review, or share it with another mama or creative who needs the encouragement. Your support helps this community grow and lets more stories like ours be heard. To stay connected and get updates on new episodes and real talk from creative moms like you, be sure to follow us on Instagram at Baby Bump and Business. Until next time, keep creating, keep growing, and give yourself all the grace that you deserve.